Hi everyone, this is Cardano ADA USDT 4-hour chart. We're going to try and make sense of the current price action. So just to zoom out a little bit, big picture. We've been in a pretty strong downtrend for most of the final quarter of 2026. This was the October liquidation event, one of the biggest in crypto history. So this is essentially a potential target for a move lower. But of course, the market is enjoying a bit of a January bump, and so is ADA. The problem is, of course, the price action has been very all over the place, with very difficult patterns to trade, with straddling key resistance and support lines, making it very confusing at the moment. And this current move hasn't helped much either, with the exception of the fact that ADA has broken now above the 4-hour 200 MA, which is, of course, if we trace it back to this markdown phase, we haven't really been above since September. So any move above here is suggesting, of course, that we could start to see a reversal. We can already start to see the curve potentially happening in terms of the bottoming out. But where do we enter for ADA? Because at the moment, this is a very odd, confusing picture. We haven't surpassed this previous swing high. We're still technically in a downtrend on the intermediate trend. And therefore, where do we go? So you can see there's some order blocks which are appearing here at around 0.36. And there's another one below here at around 0.34. Let's just get rid of this long play here with significant support just below, which is what that essential long position was highlighting there. So where do we enter? Now, the first thing we need to understand is that we want to be entering on the flip side of the 200 MA. So we want to be entering, on the bullish side of this as opposed to underneath it. So as an example, if the price action retraces back down to here, then we're going to have the 200 MA as resistance again. So it's not a particularly easy play at the moment. So and if we do get a retrace back down to here, the 200 MA is sitting just below significant resistance. You'll see this was previous acting as support for the price action and resistance. So therefore, it's not a high probability play to try and come in here. So what do we need to see? Well, we need to see something more for a start. It would be nice for ADA to move up a little bit higher and reestablish itself in this range a little bit more, but there are sellers overhead. So we would ideally want to see something like this, surpassing this previous swing high. And then when we come back down, we then probably have the 200 MA nice and flush with the price action to maybe form a bit of a base in order to move up from there. So we have to visualize what we want to see as traders. And in the crypto space with highly volatile assets, despite the fact that ADA is a high cap, meaning it can absorb a lot of downwards pressure quite easily. So it's not going to go down or tank like 100% like some of their medium or low caps will. But nonetheless, finding a highly probable trading setup is important. So stock RSI, the momentum is currently cooking. So we need it to be oversold. And again, this is not ideal. So really, essentially, we need to wait and see what happens. And the only real pathway for a long entry with ADA at the moment is either if we lose the 200 MA and we come back down to this support, which we haven't touched yet, which is significant support you see here, right? We either wait for that, which means the market has to be a little bit more bearish, and maybe a pullback from Bitcoin will facilitate that, but I'm not 100% certain about that, given that we're having a bit of a recovery now, or we need ADA on the bullish side of things to surpass this previous swing high, come up to the top of this range, and then coming back in at around 0.4 with the 200 MA acting as confluence, and hopefully then the stock RSI will have cooled down, is likely the best play. So nothing's working at the moment for a long setup for ADA, but these are the sort of things you need to look for. Essentially, a pullback to support if the market turns bearish, or a continued move higher, and then a retrace back with nice confluence with the 200 MA. But the 200 MA needs to, of course, be nice and flush with this support line, as opposed to just below resistance, which is an unhelpful position to be to come in for a long trade. But that's ADA.